Hi, everyone. Okay, this is take two. We're going to try and do this again. So, today I want to share with you really important information about scammers because scammers are something that women who are dating are petrified of because we've heard the horror stories of exactly how they can break your heart and break your pocketbook. So, I'm going to share 9 tips to keep you safe from the scammers on internet dating sites. Now, this started because recently I heard yet another story of a woman connecting with a scammer on a legitimate dating site. Yes, you can find them on Match, you can find them on Plenty of Fish, you can find them on just about any dating site out there. And these men are con artists who are going to find a way to touch your heart and your pocketbook without a second thought. Now, I don't want to scare you and cause you to stop going online because there really are good men online waiting to date you. But there are certain clues you need to be aware of that will tip you off to who potential scammers might be. And I want you to know this so that you can stay safe online, especially if a scammer contacts you. You'll know how to stop the process before it starts. So let's talk about tip number 1. Scammers feed off what you write in your profile. You actually give them clues without even realizing it. When you say things like your income, where you work, now you can say something like, I'm a nurse or I'm an attorney, but don't mention where or how much you make, even if the site asks you for it. You also want to be aware of sounding needy and lonely in your profile. When you say things like, I'm so desperate or I'm so want to find my soulmate to complete my life, that is a huge red flag to a scammer of she's lonely. I know how to go in and touch her Achilles tendon and get her to give me money. Also, when you do things like this, it just makes you perfect prey for scammers looking to hook you into their scams. Tip number 2 is they live outside the United States most of the times. These men will often say things like their mother was born in England and their father was born in Italy, or they'll say something like they live in metropolitan cities in the United States, but their work takes them elsewhere in the world. He tells you he'll be coming back soon. In the meantime, he wants to talk to you and get to know you, and he wants you to wait for him because he can't wait to meet you. I want you to understand in tip number 3 that scamming women is their job. Most of these men are from other countries and countries that pay very little money. So men there who are willing to con women have learned that in a couple of hours a day in phone conversations, getting to know you, they can easily communicate with you, find your weak spot, and make a fortune off of you. They speak with British accents, and this is something that we so fall for. It sounds romantic to us, and we just think, oh my God, he must be the best with that accent. And men know this and they use it against you. Tip number 4 is what they tell you about themselves. Oftentimes, like I mentioned, they will tell you they have like a British mother and an Italian father, and they'll give themselves romantic sounding names like Valentino and Antonio. And they'll send you pictures of themselves. Usually it's one shot, and he's drop dead gorgeous because he has stolen the shot from a model somewhere on the internet. When you really look closely at these pictures, they're often shots of handsome models posing in hats or sunglasses or holding products like beer or wine or standing in front of tall buildings in metropolitan cities, which is an ad for a new building, or they're standing by expensive cars. Sometimes they'll send you pictures, a couple of pictures, and the men don't even look the same. from picture to picture. They look similar, but not the same. They also might send you pictures of their family. If you say, do you have grandchildren? And they'll send you pictures of kids, but you'll rarely find them in any of those pictures. And that is a huge tip off. If you want to know if he's a scammer, ask him for a picture of him in it with his family. Now, tip number 5 is they use romance to lure you in. And that's because we love romance. Oftentimes, women have not been talked to in a romantic way for a very long time. And so these scammers know that. And what they start to do is they start to play into that. They'll send you beautiful poems that they've ripped off the internet. And they will tell you amazing things about how beautiful you are. They will really talk to you for a long time, which I'll tell you about. They'll tell you what they would do in a romantic way. And we get hooked into that, like I said, because we haven't been many times, we haven't had somebody talk to us this way or make us feel like the object of romance in a very, very long time. And it feels good. And they know that, so they hook you that way. Tip number 6 is listen to what they talk about. They will get you on the phone very quickly because they cannot sustain English in the written form. And they will talk to you. They will find out your weak spots. If you've lost a close member of your family, they'll tell you they have too. I know a woman, this is what he did. She had lost her husband and a child, and he identified and said he had lost his wife and a child. What they do is they use holes in your heart to trust them. And we bond easily with people who have had similar losses in their lives because we think they understand us. Now, what happens next, once they've hooked you, is they will share with you that a big business adventure is coming up and that they just need a little money to finish it. And they'll tell you they've gotten all the money they could from the bank and that their family is actually invested in this deal, whatever it is, just like he's asking you to do. And he'll tell you that he can email you copies of contracts to make the deal seem legitimate. And he'll ask you for a loan just until the deal is signed. And that once the deal is done, he'll wire the money back to your bank account. The reason men can do this is they've hooked you in with identifying with your open heart, and they have also hooked you in with romance and spending a lot of time on the phone with you. But what happens is you send them the money, and a lot of women do, a lot of really intelligent women do, because it's been so long since someone has talked to them this way, and they never see their money again, and he disappears. Now, while he is also talking with you, he's going to tell you he loves you and he can't wait to see you. And as soon as his business gets settled, he's going to come and you'll finally be together, which of course never ever happens. Number 7, a tip off, is men who have excuses for never being able to see you. Now, they want to see you so badly and even tell you that they're making arrangements to travel in a month or two. They'll come up with dates and they're a little far out. And because they're hooking you, you're willing to create that phone relationship with them. And as the date arrives, suddenly they're not available and something urgent has really happened. Hi, Stella. I'm glad you're here. Can you hear me okay? I was having a problem yesterday with this. Anyway, they'll tell you that they aren't available, and then they move the date back again because some huge crisis has come up in their business. This is another huge tip-off that you're dealing with a scammer when they push back every single time the ability to meet you. Now let's talk about tip number 8. You can't find a record of them. You go searching on Google. Thank you, Stella. You go searching on Google for Valentino or Antonio, and more than likely, nothing is going to show up for him. And if you Google the pictures, chances are that's where you'll find out they were stolen from somewhere. Many times, if you tell them I can't find you, they will try and cover their tracks and get something somewhere in a white pages, wherever they are, because then that will translate into the internet telephone book. But the thing is they aren't real. And they will not usually give you accurate information about themselves, and you'll have a hard time finding it. So, how do you protect yourself from scammers? Number one, date men closer to home. Keep emails to no more than 3 or 4 at the most. Move men to the phone and keep your calls to a minimum of 1 to 2. And then meet him within 2 to 3 weeks maximum of initial contact. If he says to you he's going to be out of the country for a month or two, tell him to give you a call when he comes back into the country and let go of him, because you need to meet someone quickly. He will hook you. And I've had clients tell me, friends told them, don't give money to this guy. You're dealing with a scammer. And when they've hooked you, you have a hard time believing this man who every day says, I love you, is a scammer. Now, he is going to try and keep the communication process as long as he can with his romantic poems and sad story of his life. Don't get pulled into this fantasy relationship that can rip your heart in two and wipe you out financially if you're not careful. I know at one point ARP wrote an entire article about women that got scammed. And the biggest thing is they really thought they were in love with a good man. These men know what to say to you to hook you. Now, a man also wants you to feel guilty when you say no to him. And don't get pulled into this con. Move on and date other men. And know that if you have been scammed, you're not alone. Thousands of, yes, men and women get caught up in these scams daily because they're lonely. Get out there and get involved in activities. Go out with friends. Go to meetups. Do things like that. Get yourself busy. Now, when you've been scammed, though, it can leave you emotionally devastated, and you might find you have a hard time trusting men again. If you'd like to work on rebuilding your dating confidence, I hope you'll write to me at lisa@findaqualityman.com, and we'll set up a time to talk about rebuilding your dating life, because there are lots of good men out there to date online. One of the things I always teach clients is to have a clear vision of the right man for them, and that keeps them also from getting hooked by scammers. And remember these tips I've shared with you. Hi, Denise. Hi, Eileen. I'm glad you're here. And Laura. Remember these 9 tips I've shared with you. And if you're not certain about someone, write to me or share your story with friends. They're objective and can give you an honest opinion of what they believe is going on. The key is you need to listen to them, because friends really do have your best interest at heart. And if they think that someone's scamming you, or before you ever give someone money, I don't care how much you think you love them, check in with someone. It's really, really important, because maybe they can say, hey, this is a scam. I did have a client that was in the midst of a scam. He was just about to ask for money, but she came to me and I told her that that was going to happen. And sure enough, 2 phone calls later, it did. And believe it or not, she had a very hard time disconnecting from him. These men hook your heart, and you bond with them because of the identifying what your weak points are, and because of romancing you. So be super careful. And you can also write in our Facebook group if you find that that feels like somebody is starting to create a scam. It's in the beginning. You need to catch it. Okay, I'd love to hear your comments. For those of you who were here live with me, I'm glad you were here live. I'm glad this made it so you could hear me today. Today I do have a cold, so got it from my granddaughters, seeing them this weekend. Anyway, I'm sending love and hugs to all of you. And by the way, leave in the comments too. If there's any topics you'd like me to cover that you're interested in, leave it in the comments. I would love to be able to help you. I'm here to teach you how to feel lovable and empowered in the over 50s dating world. Love and hugs to you. Bye, everyone.